Hello, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. Today we have another full day review and wear test, and today we are trying out the new Makeup Forever Super Boost Perfecting Moisture Boosting Skin Tint. So I'm not always huge on skin tints, but this one really piqued my interest. In the past, I have really enjoyed Makeup Forever complexion products, so I feel like I just didn't want to miss out on this one. Now this retails for $36 US or 49 Canadian. This has a 6-month shelf life and is made in France, and you get the standard 1 fluid ounce of product in here. This is available in 18 shades, which is not great, but given that it is a skin tint, the shades are typically made to be a little bit more flexible, so we will see. I do have shade 1 in this one, so the very lightest one. What's interesting about this product is actually the packaging. So this is what it looks like. It looks to be a squeeze tube, but it's actually got this really interesting little pump on the bottom. I don't think I've ever seen packaging quite like this, and it does have a pretty precise looking tip, so I'm hoping that this is going to work quite well. Now let's talk about the details really quickly before we get into application. So this is described as a hydrating and plumping skin tint with buildable sheer to medium coverage that leaves a radiant, healthy skin finish and a non-oily feel. This is supposed to be good for dryness, dullness, and an uneven skin tone. So we're going to test all of that out. Let me pin the hair back, I'll zoom you in, and we can get to putting this on the face. Alright, so zoomed in nice and close. I will say I do typically like products with a lot more coverage, but in the past I've always enjoyed the Makeup Forever complexion products, so I am hopeful for this one. So I am just going to take a little bit on my palette, and it just pumps out by pushing on the end here. So you do get a bit of control over how much you pump out. It looks a little bit thicker than I thought, which is also interesting. Now, one thing I didn't realize when I ordered this is that they kind of recommend applying with your fingers. And if you're familiar with my channel, you know that that is like nails on a chalkboard to me. I can't stand the texture of foundation on my hands. So I'm going to try to apply it with a brush first. This is my Sigma and Brianna Fox 4 brush. This is just one of my favorite brushes for foundations, particularly ones of this texture. So I just did my skincare, so I'm not even going in with my Rough and Intense Hydration Cream because I just put on my Skin Fix moisturizer. So we're just going in over bare skin. Let's see how it goes. I did try this already this week and I wasn't happy with the results. This brush is actually giving me a nice little bit of coverage. So I did try this earlier in the week with my BK Beauty 101. That is my tippy top favorite foundation brush, but I did not like how it applied to my skin. It did not give me much coverage at all. I wasn't able to build it, and I found the product was pilling. So for some reason, it did not work out well with that brush. This brush is definitely applying it quite a bit better. I was concerned yesterday, but today it's definitely looking a little bit nicer. Definitely a very, very light coverage. I do feel like it did a good job evening out my skin tone, and it does feel very comfortable and hydrating on the skin. It feels very lightweight. It does just feel like I have moisturizer on when I touch my face, but just sitting here, it doesn't feel like I have anything on at all, which is kind of nice. It does have a bit of a radiance to it as well. So I do think that looks pretty nice, and the shade definitely does work for me. At first when I put it on, I thought it might have been too light, but it actually does work pretty well for me. There is kind of a fragrance to this. It reminds me of like an old school makeup fragrance. I can't fully put my finger on it. It's not overwhelming, but it definitely smells like makeup. And again, it is still feeling very, very comfortable on the skin. It does seem to really like this brush. I don't know why it didn't like my BK Beauty brush. The difference with this brush is that it's not as densely packed as the BK Beauty, so maybe that's it. I'm not sure. It's definitely still giving a very light coverage. I am still craving just a little bit more coverage. My skin has definitely been acting out this week on this particular side, but I do think it actually looks quite nice, and the shade match is definitely working. I do want to pick up just a little bit more to see if I can get a little bit more coverage. I'm finding that buffing motions are definitely working better to apply this one. It doesn't seem to like being patted into the skin. I'm not really sure if I was able to build it that much. I don't really feel like I got much more coverage. So this is the side that needs a little bit more love and coverage from me right now. And because they do recommend applying with your fingers, I'm going to try it. I'm going to take a little bit on my finger and I'm going to try swiping it on the skin and see what happens. Let me know if you're somebody who likes to apply foundations and things with your fingers. I hate the feeling so much. Oh shoot, I do like the way it looks with the fingers though. All right, fine. I'm gonna add a little bit more. Figure we're already in here. Let's just go for it. Adding a little bit more around my problem area. Okay, so I do think you can get a little bit more coverage if you use your fingers. I don't think you're gonna get a solid medium by any means. I think it still ends up being much more on a sheer to light medium, if anything. I do think it looks nice though. I think the shade match is pretty good. It still just feels like a moisturizer on the skin. It's not too heavy. I definitely feel like I'm gonna end up powdering this a little bit. So for concealer, I'm just going in with my Danessa Myricks Lift and Flex Concealer. I also feel like I always use my Natasha Denona concealer, so I feel like I probably should use something different at some point. So I'm going to quickly pop off camera. I will finish up the rest of my makeup and I'll come back to share the lip combo with you because I did also pick up their new lip gloss in this line. So I will be right back. Alright, so the rest of the makeup is on and I feel like it looks fine. I do feel like my skin looks smooth and it definitely has a soft radiance to it, which I do really like. But I did just line my lips with the Makeup Forever Artist Color Pencil in Wherever Walnut because I picked up the new Super Boost Moisturizing Plumping Effect Lip Gloss in the shade Wherever Walnut. So the packaging is pretty similar to the foundation, just in that sort of neutral packaging with the logo and the Super Boost, but we do get a nice doe foot applicator with this one. I didn't realize that this was supposed to be a plumping gloss. One thing I don't like, and I can tell you right away, is look how hard that sort of doe foot comes out of the packaging. So you do just want to be careful about that because it will splatter. So this is more of a neutrally brown and I do kind of like the shape of this doe foot. So it is sort of angled. It does have a flatter side, but then it is angled to really hug the lips. So let's go ahead and put this on. It does smell good. I feel like it has a bit of a vanilla scent to it. I don't mind the scent at all. I think I accidentally got some in my mouth though, so I am sort of feeling a little bit of that weird sort of tingly sensation when you get that plumping gloss in your mouth. So I do recommend keeping your mouth closed when you apply this. This is a thicker formula and I am noticing it's doing that stringy thing between the lips, which I hate. So while that stringiness does bother me initially, you can do that old school lipstick trick where you put your finger in your mouth to try to get the excess off the inner rim of your lips. And that actually does solve the stringiness. So I did do that and I'm not noticing that stringiness anymore. It does still have a thicker consistency to it, which is kind of nice. I did put this on the other day and I noticed the same thing, is that because it is thicker, it definitely lasts a bit longer on the lips. When I first got these in the mail, I instantly put this on because I had to, and I ate lunch right after. And I still noticed I had some of the gloss on after, which is impressive. So I do like this formula for how thick it is and how long wearing it is for a gloss. It's not going to be super long wearing, but because it is a thicker gloss, it definitely wears longer than a lot of other glosses that I have. So I do like that. And I also like how much pigment there is to it. I like how shiny it is. I like how smooth it made my lips look. It does say it's a plumping gloss, but it's not super uncomfortable. I really like this color. I like the consistency. It definitely feels hydrating and comfortable on the lips. So I'm really happy about that, and I do think I really like this gloss formula. But as for the foundation, again, I wish I had a little bit more coverage. I knew I wasn't going to get a lot with the skin tint. I don't mind this packaging here. It's definitely unconventional, but I don't mind it. I didn't struggle with it by any means. I do think the shade might be a little bit light, but it does work for me. I do think I got the most coverage with my fingers, which is another downside for me because I can't stand that feeling, but I did still get a good application when I went in with my Fox 4 brush. So I can make it work. There is a soft radiance to my skin, but it's not too much. I'm not too glowy. Now that it's been on for a bit, it still just sort of feels like a moisturizer when I touch my face, but otherwise it doesn't feel like I have anything on, and it's not sticking to my hair or anything like that. So I am actually enjoying a day off today, which is exciting, but it is still about 8 a.m. right now. Yes, and I will be wearing this for a solid 8 hours today because I want to test it out. So I am going to go run some errands. I kind of want to go for a walk when I get home. I want to do some cleaning. So I do have a busy day, so I am interested to see how this is going to wear throughout the day. I'll try to take some shots in natural lighting as well to show you what this looks like, but I'm gonna go about the rest of my day and I will see you in a little bit. All right, here's what we're looking like in natural lighting. Definitely a bit glowier, but I do think it ends up looking pretty nice. It definitely gives a soft radiance to my skin. My skin definitely looks pretty smooth as well. So natural lighting, it looks pretty good. Still feels very comfortable, but I will see you guys at the end of the day. All right, so we are now at the very end of the day. It is, well, it's almost 6 p.m., but the makeup has been on for almost a full 10 hours. I did my makeup at 8 a.m. this morning. I had some errands to run. We got some groceries. We came home. I decided to deep clean my house, and then I went for a walk. So I definitely put this foundation to the test today. And for the last, I want to say maybe hour or two, I was kind of leaning with my face in my hand reading. So I will say that there is a good portion of the makeup that has worn off on my cheek over here. And on this side, it definitely held up a little bit better. My nose definitely wore off quite quickly. But I do notice that throughout my T-zone, which tends to be my driest area in the winter, it's not really looking overly dry or uncomfortable or clinging to any dryness, which is really nice. I did notice that once I was in natural lighting, the shade match, I do think this shade ended up being a little bit too light, which I don't love, especially given that there's only 18 shades and this is the lightest one. That would mean the next level up, I don't know if that would be too dark for me. I really don't know. And then additionally, I noticed that the makeup looked really glowy. Even though I did powder my T-zone, I felt like it looked really glowy when I was out and about. So that was another thing I wasn't absolutely loving. And on initial application, I noticed that I was able to get a pretty nice application with my Fox 4 brush. But like I mentioned, over the last couple of days, I kept trying it with my BK Beauty 101, and the foundation really did not want to apply with that brush. It just didn't look nice. So I got a much better application with this, and I think that's just because this is not quite as densely packed. I did try it with a sponge as well, and of course, the way this formula is and how hydrating it is, the sponge really just soaks up product when it comes to this. And I definitely found that the best way to apply this is unfortunately with your fingers. So if you're someone who already likes to apply foundations with your fingers, you're not going to mind this at all. I just personally have some sort of weird tactile thing where I do not like that. But if that doesn't bother you, you might be okay with it. We also do have this really interesting packaging here. I don't think this packaging is going to be for everybody, but I don't hate it. I can definitely make it work, and I definitely found it came out quite easily. Is it a little gimmicky? Maybe, but I did find that it worked pretty well for me. It came out quite easily. It didn't give me a hard time, so I don't mind. The trouble will be when this starts to get quite low. I don't know if you're going to be able to get all of the product out as it gets lower. I guess we'll have to see. So I don't feel like the foundation really lasted the best through 10 hours. I feel like it's really breaking down in some spots, but because it is a much more sheer coverage to begin with, when it is wearing off, it's doing so gracefully. It's not making me look crazy, which is nice. So the pros for this product, I would definitely say that it definitely felt very lightweight, very comfortable. It wasn't sticking to my hair or anything like that. And it definitely evened out my skin tone. And like I said, it was very hydrating. What I don't like is that I don't feel like it has the best wear time. I also find that while this says it is a sheer to buildable medium, I definitely don't think you're ever going to get a medium coverage with this. I think at best you're going to get a very light medium, and that is when you apply with your fingers. So while I did like how hydrating and lightweight this felt on my skin, I just don't think that this necessarily fits with my current foundation preferences right now. I don't think it's a bad product. I do think this might be something that I will definitely use, especially when I have a quick meeting and I don't feel like doing a full face of makeup, but I need to look presentable for being on camera. I think this could be great to put on really quickly. I think this could potentially be great in the summer when I am going for that no makeup makeup. Maybe I'm just going out on the boat and I just want something quick to make me look a little bit more pulled together, but I'm not going to wear a full face. I can definitely see myself reaching for this for that purpose, but I don't think this is going to be a regular go-to, especially when I do just prefer a little bit more coverage and a little less glow. It's not my favorite and it definitely doesn't suit my preferences, but it's not a bad product because I think there is definitely an audience for this. And what this actually reminds me a lot of is the Patrick Ta Major Skin Hydra Luxe Luminous Foundation. It reminds me so much of this. They have many of the same properties. Obviously the packaging is very, very different and the Makeup Forever is going to be a lot more affordable. Not affordable, but much more fairly priced than the Patrick Ta. I will say the Patrick Ta behaves better when you apply with a brush or even a sponge than the Makeup Forever. I do think the Patrick Ta is easier to work with in that respect, but I feel like these have a pretty similar wear time. They look very similar on the skin. They're both very lightweight. They're both hydrating and they both give that sort of soft glow that looks definitely a little bit more intense in natural lighting. And these are both really great for no makeup makeup. The reason I didn't love this last year when it came out, and I even mentioned this in my year-end ranking, well, this is definitely some of the most beautiful packaging. I don't want to pay $60 or $80 for no makeup makeup. And this is also kind of no makeup makeup, but I mean, looking at the packaging, looking at everything about it, you can kind of tell that's what it is. So I think if you're someone who was interested in the Patrick Ta because it is that sort of no makeup makeup foundation with that really light coverage but soft glow to it, but you just don't like the price point, maybe the Makeup Forever is the route because while the packaging is definitely not as luxurious, these are going to give you very, very similar properties. That's where I'll leave it. It's not a bad product, but it's not a favorite. I will say though, I really do like the gloss. Really like the gloss. Like I said, it is definitely much of a thicker formula, but it is so shiny and glossy. I put this on this morning. I went to get groceries. I was drinking my water and I noticed I still had this on when I got home. So this is a really long wearing gloss and I love it. I love the color. I love how it looked on my lips. I love that it's not overly uncomfortably plumping. It has a little bit of that cooling effect, but it's not painful or aggressive. Like I said, it's a little bit more than the Lawless, which is minimal to begin with. So it's not painful and it definitely does go away. And I found it just gave such a beautiful fullness and gloss to the lips while also delivering beautiful pigment. This is a really nice gloss. I really like this. So the gloss was an absolute hit. The foundation is not bad, but it's not for me. So that is where I'll leave it. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. Did you pick up this foundation? Are you passing on it? Are you excited about it? Do you love a good skin tint? Let me know all of your thoughts down below. I love hearing from you guys so, so much. If you're new here, I hope you'll consider subscribing before you go. I do upload new videos every single week. Thank you again so very much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!